A man fell into a coma for a while, then suddenly woke up, and his story spread all over the world. However, his story had a shocking hidden truth that no one knew until the man confessed to the journalist interviewing him. Let's delve into the details of this story and uncover the secret behind it. Greetings, this is Yassine welcoming you to the Mindset Motive. Today's story is about a man named Jan Grzebski from Poland. He used to work as a railroad worker, and in 1988, while he was working, he had an accident. A piece of iron struck his head, causing him to fall into a coma. When doctors examined his head with X-rays, they found a large internal tumor, 5 centimeters in size, pressing on his brain. Although modern medical sciences were advancing rapidly at the time, they weren't advanced enough to treat this tumor or help Jan come out of the coma. The doctors told his wife, Jadwiga, that he would likely remain in a coma for an indefinite period, which could be days, weeks, months, or even years, but most likely he would eventually die. Jan's wife, Jadwiga, was a loyal and devoted wife who loved him deeply. She faced a difficult decision. The doctor suggested euthanasia, which means allowing the patient in a coma or a hopeless condition to die by disconnecting life support machines and other devices keeping him alive, as he couldn't survive without respiratory support and nutrition. They considered this mercy killing because the patient would be in a state of suffering between life and death. However, Jadwiga, Jan's wife, rejected this option, saying she would wait until her husband woke up naturally or died naturally. She still held hope in her heart that he might return to her one day. But for Jan to stay alive, he needed constant care throughout the day. No hospital would accept him for an indefinite period without charging enormous sums. So, the only solution for Jan's wife and family was to allocate a room for him at home with the necessary devices and supplies, and they took on the responsibility of caring for him, hoping that one day he would wake up. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and months turned into years, but there was no improvement in Jan's condition. Nevertheless, his wife, Jadwiga, remained patient, praying for his return one day. The situation wasn't easy for her and their 4 children, who were still young at the time, with the eldest being in adolescence. Imagine the amount of pressure she was under, having to take care of her children while caring for her comatose husband. It wasn't just about providing him with nutrition, maintaining his respiratory devices, changing his diapers, and repositioning his body every hour to prevent muscle infections, as a human body needs movement even while asleep. Since Jan couldn't move due to his coma, it was his wife who had to move his body for him. Imagine Jadwiga, the great wife who devoted herself to caring for her husband for years, enduring patiently and praying with all her heart for her husband to return to her. Despite the immense hardship she faced, her joy was immense when, in 2007, after almost 2 decades in a coma, Jan finally began breathing on his own without the assistance of machines. After all the suffering, perseverance, and patience, he was finally back, breathing freely, thanks to the love and dedication of his wife. This remarkable story of Jan Grzebski's recovery from a coma captivated the world's attention, not only because of the medical miracle it represented, but also because of the unwavering love and dedication of his wife, Jadwiga, and their family. It serves as a testament to the power of hope, perseverance, and the enduring bonds of love. Jan's journey from the depths of a coma to regaining consciousness is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the miracles that can occur against all odds. Suddenly, something like this becomes unimaginable. You can only imagine the joy his wife and children must have felt after this development. Of course, they immediately took him to the hospital. After examining his brain, the doctors discovered that the tumor had become much smaller due to his aging process. As the tumor shrank, the pressure on his brain decreased, and his ability to perform normal bodily functions such as breathing slowly began to recover. Then, after several days, the miracle that Jan's wife had been waiting for happened. He woke up from the coma. The situation was shocking and unexpected. The doctors were amazed by what had happened. They never expected Jan to wake up again. They considered it a hopeless case. Jan was only 60 years old when he fell into a coma, and he was 65 years old when he woke up. Imagine the shock and depth of the shock he experienced when he opened his eyes and realized that he had been absent from the world for such a long time. It's crazy to suddenly wake up to the world after being absent from it for so long. The years had passed like a blur. It was difficult, but gradually he began to regain his mental balance and interact with his wife and the people around him. Jan cried after learning about the steadfastness of his wife during all those years, how she patiently stood by him and never abandoned him, praying for him with hope in her heart that he would wake up, according to the Polish newspaper that conducted the interview. Jan also mentioned that it was his wife, Jadwiga, who saved him, and he could never forget what she did for him. According to the newspaper, Jan said that he couldn't comprehend the extent of the changes that had occurred in the world. He couldn't believe the number of people walking on the streets, using their phones or watching videos while he was unconscious. At that time, only the wealthiest people had mobile phones, and he was surprised to see the abundance and variety of goods in stores compared to before. Even meat was readily available everywhere, which was not the case when the communist regime was in control of Poland. The political system and its policies had changed dramatically during his coma. Moreover, the biggest change was in his family. When Jan entered the coma, he had 4 children, and they had grown up, got married, and woke up. He even had grandchildren. He didn't know anything about them. The story was very strange and captivating for many media outlets, from newspapers to television channels. Everyone wanted to cover the story. Even though it happened in Poland, it attracted global attention. People compared Jan's story to a movie called Goodbye Lenin. The film was about Germany in 1989 when it was under communist rule. The protagonist was against the communist regime, while his mother was a staunch supporter. When she saw her son participating in a demonstration against the communist regime, she was so shocked that she fell into a coma. During her coma, there was a revolution in Germany. The communist regime collapsed, and the Berlin Wall fell. The mother remained in a coma for 8 months. After waking up, the doctor warned her son that telling her about the events in the country could give her a stroke or a heart attack because the regime she supported had collapsed. So, the son decided to pretend that the communist regime was still in power to prevent his mother from experiencing another shock. This was the plot of the movie, and many media outlets compared Jan's story to it. When the story spread through various media outlets, one of them, The Guardian, a well-known British newspaper, decided to cover it extensively. They saw that the story had spread widely and wanted to cover it as well. So, a journalist from The Guardian contacted Jan's wife and arranged an interview with them at their home. When the journalist entered their house, he organized his papers and sat opposite Jan and Jadwiga, asking them questions. The journalist first congratulated Jan on his recovery, and then asked him if he felt that he had fully regained his balance and brain functions after this coma that lasted. Here, Jan's answer and confession were surprising. He told the journalist that he hadn't been in a coma for just a year, like most of the media reports claimed. The journalist was confused and took some time to process the information he had heard until he finally understood. Jan had been in a coma for 4 years, not 1. After 4 years in a coma, he woke up, unable to speak at first, but he could communicate with his wife and family through gestures. After a while, he was able to sit up in bed and be placed in a wheelchair. Over time, he gradually regained his ability to speak. However, to this day, he cannot get up from the wheelchair. Despite all the changes and things they claim he didn't see during those years, he actually saw them. He watched television and the news, so he had a clear idea of the political changes happening in the country. He also knew about the technological advancements and new things being invented in the world. I was shocked by the changes, as they portrayed me in their reports and stories. Jan's wife, Jadwiga, confirmed this and said that the media distorted the truth significantly. Every time the story spread in a new newspaper or channel, they added completely new details far from the truth. After this shocking discovery, The Guardian contacted Gazeta Wyborcza, the Polish newspaper that conducted the first interview with Jan and his wife, and sent them a message asking them about the reason that led them to formulate the story in this way. The response was not delayed much. The editor-in-chief of the Polish newspaper quickly responded, but her response was stranger than strange. The editor-in-chief defended their report and wrote in her message, "The issue was not a lie. The whole issue is that there are different types of coma. In one type of coma, people are permanently unconscious, and in another type of coma, people wake up periodically and return to their coma. This was the case of Mr. Jan Grzebski, whom we reported on." Okay, where did you get all these details that he wasn't aware of the technological advancements and political changes in the country? He'd be shocked by his grandchildren, whom he saw for the first time. Where did all this come from? The nice thing is that after all the media outlets around the world spread the same story, all from the same Polish newspaper, I don't know honestly what lesson we can take from this story. I don't want to say to you that the lesson is not to trust the media. Never. And that everything is a lie. But after this incident, it makes one think about how many false news and rumors may be in the world. If you have an opinion on this matter, comments are open below. And with that, we've reached the end of our segment. And today, I'll remind you not to forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. And these are previous segments recommended for you today.